For tonight's editorial, we take a look at the intriguing story of Momo County, an icon of the southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. Usually during the county draft, we delve into the intricate historical, cultural, and socio-political aspects of each county. However, today, this time around, we're taking a different approach. We aim to profile a figure who has significantly changed the course of history in his time. We're talking about His Royal Highness Fongum Gorji-Dinka, an inspiring leader who embodies the heart and soul of Ambazonia as both an educated Christian and traditional ruler of the Fongum kingdom. His journey is a testament to the resilience and spirit of his people. For Gorji-Dinka, freedom isn't just a word, it is a way of life. He champions the principles of freedom of worship, speech, and the diligent application of the rule of law. His unwavering belief in the right of self-determination is a beacon of hope for many, especially against the backdrop of Ambazonia's struggle. Well, from the historical halls of St. Joseph College, Sase, to the esteemed universities across the globe, his education and experience have only fortified his resolve. Today, he stands strong, leading the charge for the restoration of Ambazonia's statehood with unwavering determination. Navigating through the turbulent waters of history, Gorji-Dinka's leadership is a call to never forget our root and the unyielding pursuit of justice. His story urges us to stand firm in our beliefs and to advocate for the rights that we all inherently deserve. Now let's get into some details of this story. Fongum Gorji-Dinka is an educated Christian and the traditional ruler of the Fongum kingdom, an aboriginal realm in the erstwhile southern Cameroons, now known as the Amazonian Republic. As a firm believer in freedom of worship, freedom of speech, and the diligent application of the rule of law by modern governments, Gorji-Dinka champions the right to self-determination for all peoples. This belief is especially pertinent considering the experience of his native land, the Republic of Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons, which has endured illegal occupation and gross human rights abuses by the Republic of Cameroon since the misleading promise of unity following the 1961 United Nations plebiscite. According to Fongum Gorji-Dinka, no people should ever be subjected to the kind of oppressive relations that the people of Ambazonia have endured under the Republic of Cameroon's administration for the past 44 years. On January 1st, 1984, when Cameroon's President Paul Biya decided to revert to the name La République du Cameroun, the Republic of Cameroon, the name the country held at its separate independence in 1960. The Amazonian Restoration Council, the R, which met secretly at Professor Bernard N. Fonlon's residence, nominated Fongum Gorji-Dinka as the leader of the efforts to restore the statehood of Ambazonia, the Southern Cameroons. The council demanded either the total implementation of the plebiscite treaty between Cameroon and the Southern Cameroons or the complete withdrawal of Cameroon's administration from the erstwhile Southern Cameroons in the event of failure to honor the said Treaty of Union. For education, the St. Joseph's College Sase, Fulbright Political Science graduate, Pennsylvania, USA, Council of Legal Education Law School, London, Sorbonne University, Paris, France, and an influential legal career and public activist of Gorji-Dinka. Those were the schools he attended. For the professor, attorney at law, advocate of the Supreme Court of England and Wales, solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Cameroon's political activist, human rights advocate, and leader of the Republic of Ambazonia, the British Southern Cameroons. His attainments, we look at 1964 when he became the first secretary of the Cameroon's Federal Bar Association. In 1969 to 1970, when he was appointed by the Central African Council of Roman Catholic Bishops as their legal consultant and defense counsel. Fongum played a pivotal role in the trial of Catholic Bishop Albert Ndomo, who was charged with high treason and an attempted coup d'etat by then Cameroon President Amadou Ahidjo. We go to 1976, elected as the first president of the General Council of the Cameroons Bar. Fongum distinguished himself as a leader within the legal community. In 1977, he was honored with the title of Queen's Counsel, a recognition of his outstanding legal expertise and contributions. And in 1978, re-elected as the president of the Cameroons Bar, Fongum encountered a unique situation where his professional colleagues, in defiance of a law barring a third term, refused to elect someone in his place. This effectively forced him to remain as caretaker president indefinitely. The Cameroon's government intervened by arresting and detaining him from October 8, 1981 to October 7, 1982. After he dared to request bail for 5 foreign missionaries accused of distributing Christian religious tracts without prior written authorization from the president of the Cameroon. Public activities. 1959, as president of the Cameroon Student Association, Fongum led a delegation to the United Nations for preliminary deliberations aimed at formulating the infamous two alternatives in anticipation of the United Nations-sponsored plebiscite for the Cameroons. He also submitted one of the first petitions requesting the United Nations to decolonize the Cameroon, German as one entity. The 1981 to 1982, Fongum defended 4 Nigerian missionaries against charges of attempting to subvert the state of Cameroon, accusations leveled by President Amadou Ahidjo. His brilliant defense, based on arguments of freedom of worship, led Ahidjo to brand Fongum as a blood drinker, even before he became a member of the Brotherhood of Christ Church, which has been brought to Nigeria from the United States of America by a Papa Olumba. Subsequently, Ahidjo arrested and charged Fongum on October 8, 1981, accusing him of forging his signature to defend the Nigerian missionaries. Fongum was detained until October 7, 1982. Fongum's career in public activities showcased his unwavering commitment to legal advocacy, human rights, and the pursuit of justice, even in the face of political persecutions. His contributions have left a lasting impact on the legal and political landscape of Cameroon. Paul Biya, recognizing the significant demands the fund made on the government, decided to completely remove the case from Cameroon's legal files, arguing that the charges against Fongum were politically motivated by former President Amadou Ahidjo. Ahidjo, being a Muslim, not only harbored animosity and fear towards Fongum over the years, but also aimed to expand Islam over Christianity. In 1985, Fongum launched a series of pamphlets titled 1. The New Social Order, 2. Open Letter to Cameroon, L'État Major, Defuse the Time Bomb, and 3. The Revolt of Ambazonia. Well, these documents defined and reignited the ongoing struggles to restore the sovereign independence of Ambazonia, formerly British Southern Cameroons, in concrete legal and diplomatic terms. They have stood the test of time and proven more effective in the liberation efforts than any other means. The pamphlets called on Cameroonian President Paul Biya to comply with the restoration law, which required him to withdraw from Ambazonia and confine the administration of the Republic of Cameroon strictly to its international boundaries as per the United Nations and Organization of African Unity, the OAU charters. The fund was promptly arrested and detained, inciting the Dinka GCE riots of 1984 and 1985, which led to the closure of all schools and forced the Cameroon's parliament to pass a resolution urging President Biya to convene a conference to address the annexation of Ambazonia's problem. Instead, we had President Biya accuse the Speaker of Parliament, Solomon Tandeng Muna, of leading a pro-Dinka parliamentary revolt against him. Biya subsequently put the Fon on trial and demanded a death sentence by firing squad. Under torture, the Fon suffered a stroke that paralyzed his left side. In his defense, the Fon requested the courts to dismiss the charges unless the prosecution could cite the law that made it an offense to call on the Cameroonian president to comply with the Cameroon's Restoration Law 84/01, which required him to withdraw from Ambazonia. Since no such law exists, the military tribunal acquitted the Fon. In response to President Biya's decision to rearrest him, despite the law creating the military tribunal that denied the right of appeal in high treason cases, which invariably ended in conviction, London-based Amnesty International elected the Fon a prisoner of conscience in 1985/1986. President Biya subsequently placed the Fon under indefinite house arrest. However, he made a daring escape 3 years later, crossing Amba's Bay into Nigeria by night in a speedboat. The United Nations then provided him with protection, recognizing Nigeria as his host country. In 1990, organizers of the Dinka riots, including Nijon Frundi and Arbat Mukong, formed the Social Democratic Front, the SDF, a political party aimed at winning power and enforcing the Restoration Law, which sought to dissolve the Cameroon-Ambazonian Union. Initially, Nijon Frundi led the party, but was soon influenced to denounce the very objective for which the SDF was founded. This created a divide within the party, with the Ambazonian faction, including its second vice chairman, Dr. Ngeka Luma, continuing to fight for emancipation, while Frundi opposed it. Frundi advocated for Luma's resignation from the party, but Luma defied this, challenging them to expel him and lose the support of the entire Ambazonian SDF, Social Democratic Front faction, which controlled all but 2 of Ambazonia's municipalities. In 1990 as well, the Ambazonian Restoration Council issued a proclamation, thereby formalizing the restoration of Ambazonia's independence. The council designated His Royal Highness Fon Gorji-Dinka as the head of the Republic of Ambazonia. And this proclamation was filed at the United Nations, accompanied by a petition demanding the United Nations action to terminate the illegal Cameroonian occupation of Ambazonia. Despite several meetings with the United Nations officials in 1991, no positive results were achieved. In 1991, the United States Ambazonian Dialogue and its aftermath. In 1991, the first meeting of the United States Ambazonian Dialogue took place under the chairmanship of the African Affairs Assistant Under Secretary Irving Hicks. During this meeting, the United States recognized that Cameroon was indeed illegally occupying Ambazonia. After reviewing the available options, it was concluded that only unilateral action by the United States could effectively compel President Paul Biya to withdraw from Ambazonia. The United States then required Ambazonia to obtain a declaration from a national or international tribunal on the matter. In 1992, the legal proceedings and its implication. With a strategic approach, the Fund initiated a lawsuit, the HCB/28/92, in the Cameroon High Court. This legal action compelled President Paul Biya, the second defendant, to acknowledge the following points. A. The ex-British Southern Cameroons is now the sovereign state of Ambazonia, with Fon Gorji-Dinka as the head of state. B. The occupation of Ambazonia by Cameroon is illegal and constitutes an act of continuing aggression. C. The Cameroon must unconditionally withdraw from Ambazonia and instead seek the creation of a Cameroon-Ambazonian Confederacy as per the terms outlined in the United Nations plebiscite. Now, this judgment provided the necessary legal cover for unilateral external action to compel Paul Biya to withdraw from Ambazonia in compliance with both national and international law. However, before the Bush administration could act on this judgment, it was replaced by the Clinton administration. 1994 to 1995, the fund framed the interpleader summons which Ambazonia lodged at the International Court of Justice, the ICJ. On the instructions of the French-Algerian president of the court, the registrar rejected it. In accordance with the rules of the ICJ, Ambazonia appealed against the president's decision. However, the president prevented his questionable decision from being reviewed by the full court. In total frustration, the fund instructed Ambazonian delegates in North America to attempt to revive the U.S.-Amazonian dialogue. Congressman Tim Penny became involved and brought the matter to the attention of Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, who wrote to the ICJ but received only the court's calendar of fixtures in response. In 1997, the fund succeeded in getting the High Court of London to compel the British government to accept the transfer of the fund's asylum from Nigeria to Britain. He used this opportunity to assert that the ethnic people of Ambazonia retain British citizenship until Ambazonia becomes free from Cameroon, under which Britain initially and illegally subjugated them. The British government conceded A. that Cameroon's occupation of Ambazonia is illegal and forcible, and B. that British citizenship vested in ethnic Ambazonians, which was 6.4 million at the time, would only lapse when the country becomes free from Cameroon, which is essentially acting as a surrogate, ruling Ambazonia on behalf of Britain. In 1999, the fund visited The Hague to file a document accusing all concerned parties of colluding to prolong the Bakassi case. He argued that the dispute could be resolved in less than 40 days. But the ICJ continued to ignore the new information brought to their attention. In 2000, the Amazonian leader visited Nigeria for 6 months, during which he had 3 meetings with President Olusegun Obasanjo at the time. The president directed his attorney general to address the matter, but to this day, it has not been treated as it should be. At this point, you would agree that His Royal Highness Fongum Gorji-Dinka stands as an indispensable pillar in the Ambazonian independence restoration movement. His strategic vision and unyielding dedication have been instrumental in galvanizing an international front to serve the cause of Ambazonia. Following this return to the United States in August 2001, he established the Amazonian People's Emancipation Council, the APEC. After orchestrating impactful demonstrations at the Cameroon and British embassies in Washington, D.C., this initiative emerged from a historic summit at the United States Congress, where disparate factions united to form a cohesive front aiming at securing external assistance to pressure Cameroon's President Paul Biya to respect the Cameroon's High Court's order to withdraw from Ambazonia. Despite facing relentless oppositions, Gorji-Dinka's leadership from 2002 to 2015 saw the successful mobilization of legal actions at various international fora. Including the United Nations, the International Court of Justice, and the African Union, amplifying the Amazonian cause on a global stage. Exhausting all peaceful avenues, he issued a final warning to President Paul Biya to heed the voice of reason and divest from Ambazonia. His resolute actions and unwavering commitment underscores his pivotal role in the ongoing struggle for Ambazonia's liberation, cementing his legacy as a cornerstone of the movement.